Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at Crystallis' SLARDAR carry. You heard that right, he went 13-1-9 against Team Nouns, and I'm really excited to kind of take a look at how this is possible. Why is this build good? Now, I will say that his mid laner was a Morphling, so you can kind of see this as a really cool draft and overall setup from Team Secret, where they have sort of two offlaners. But really what's cool about SLARDAR is he's one of the fastest farming heroes in Dota, if allowed to do so. And so yeah, we're going to see how he completely pops off. And on top of that, I just want to say congrats to Nouns for actually taking a game off of Team Secret. That's pretty awesome. So yeah, shout out NA. But alright, without further ado, let's hop into the SLARDAR gameplay. And quickly, I wanted to briefly let you guys know that the GameLeap website is currently 50% off if you use the code POG50 at checkout. I'm telling you this because number one, I think it's a good deal, and number two, I'm making a lot of top tier content over there, live game analysis, replay analysis. I'm going to be uploading some coaching sessions eventually, very soon. So I have a lot of things that I think you guys should go check out. So if you're interested in more content like you get here on YouTube, and stuff that's really gonna help you get to the next level, I'd appreciate it if you could use the code POG50 and get your 50% off, sign up to the website, and I'll see you there. All right, so the first thing I'd like to note is that if you are gonna play SLARDAR and you are gonna try this build, in the laning stage, try not to get too overconfident. This hero's main spike is level 3, where Bash doubles from 50 damage per proc to 100 damage per proc. And then on top of that, at level 4, when it gets its first point in Guardian Sprint, it also hits a pretty hard power spike. On top of that, what Crystallis did is he took Bash at level 1 and primarily used it to secure the range creep and just CS in general. And so essentially what I'm trying to tell you here is that you should focus mainly on CS, conserving your mana for the first few levels on your Slitherine Crush, and then using, once again, the Slitherine Crush and the Bash to secure range creeps and overall bully the enemy off of CS and denies. Now, if you've managed to keep your lane back and get it into a really nice position, things can get ugly real quick for the enemy lane. Crystallis has played this lane and played this game completely perfectly. He managed to hold the lane back for nearly 6 minutes straight. I don't really know how they didn't get off a pole on the side of Nouns, but they didn't get off a pole. And then if you hit level 6 early, you just solo kill anyone, because a big thing to understand as well, SLARDAR got one of the major buffs of the patch. This hero, when it ultis someone, right? When it ultis someone, it creates a puddle around them, right? So basically you can get the Guardian Sprint bonus river movement speed when ulting someone. You can see here, he's running at 500 movement speed, 500. That's insane. No one can get away from you. And that's the reality of the current SLARDAR. If you get on top of someone at level 6 away from the tower, they are basically guaranteed dead. There's almost no way around it. From there, he picks up the Morbid Mask. Sometimes I think if you're snowballing your lane really hard, you can pick up the Quarterstaff, just because it's a little bit more damage on the amp, right? But, and it's a bit better for farming if you're not taking damage, but that's not what he opts for here. He opts for the Morbid Mask to keep his HP a little bit higher. And from there, they just look to continue to chase people out of the lane. If you get ahead and you have this treads, you're just so dang strong. Most heroes can't fight you, especially if you get a good angle. So what I really love about Crystallis is that he's like chopping through this tree, chopping through this tree. He's trying to find these like side angles onto heroes, because if you can close the gap immediately before they can react, you'll kill them. If you can't, SLARDAR often gets kited early on, and that's very important to understand. And now here's where things really get fun, I'm telling you. Mask of Madness gives you bonus movement speed, which is important to understand, because it obviously works on top of, the Guardian Sprint and the bonus movement speed from the river. And now he also has the Mask of Madness, which allows you to farm like a madman, because Bash of the Deep does double damage to creeps, right? As a result, your hero farms extremely fast. Now, when you're farming, make sure you optimize your bashes. Basically, what I mean by that is you'll see when Crystallis is farming this, he'll actually use the bash on the higher HP creep to basically make sure that the creep camp dies as fast as possible. This seems like a small thing, but it is an important efficiency play that you should be doing every single time. Next up, I'd like to talk about this early 9-minute TP play. They make a hard dive onto the Beastmaster and he TPs in. So, looks like it's going to be a good fight. They're low HP and they're running away, right? But the big thing he has to keep in mind is that he's playing SLARDAR. And once again, this hero does get kited, which seems insane considering you run at 400 something movement speed with sprint, but in the early game, that is just how it plays out. And so instead what he does is he just goes onto the backline, goes on Moo, waits for Coast to Beal to overextend on the Drow, but then when he sees the roll coming in, he kites out once again. it's beautiful overall just understanding of kiting in and out, as he'll probably look to amp gunner. Yeah, didn't get it off there, but he was looking for it. And then just, you know, proceeds to stop the chase. So basically, big thing there, don't just barrel into 4 heroes. Even if you're winning the game, until you have BKB, it's not going to work. You will get kited, you will get stunned, your hero is very predictable, and everything you do is melee range, so you have to have patience, discipline, and often even bait your teammates early game, because you chunk, you do so much damage, but often it's a little bit hard to use that damage for the first 15 minutes of the game, or at least until BKB. Maybe Blink helps as well, right? So you can get on top of someone right away. From there, your hero shreds Ancients, like absolutely destroys Ancients. As long as you amp the major Ancient creep, you'll kill the camp very, very quickly. It's quite efficient. It's not insane, right? We're not talking Naga levels of efficiency or Battle Fury, but we are getting close to that, considering you don't have to spend any gold on it, and you're playing SLARDAR and not Naga. So yeah. Another note of carry SLARDAR or offlane SLARDAR is your Roshan potential. Anytime you gain a lead, the worst thing you can do is chase people around the map. And that might sound insane, not the worst, but often the worst. If the enemy isn't complete bots and they're not just running into your towers when they're losing the game, realistically, they're going to split the map and dodge you and play to farm. So the best option when this happens, when the enemy is dodging you and playing away from you, is to take Rosh. Which is why, especially if you're playing Radiant, you want to be farming your triangle. So that often, well, your triangle and the top side of the map. Because you want to be often positioned in a place where if the enemy shows bottom on a significant amount of heroes, you can, well, then Rosh, right? And that's exactly what they do on Team Secret. So good discipline, taking the Roshan, not just running into the enemy. And now they can even look to, you know, push towards this tier 2 top. As Morphling goes to shove that in, the SLARDAR is going to look to cut the mid wave or even hunt for a kill with the Nyx Assassin as they find a DD, maybe even the Drow. No, okay, Blink's back for the DD. He's going to clear the mid wave. Even when you're winning the game, guys, don't get too distracted hunting, especially when you have Blink Dagger. People will get, you know, really, really distracted as he finds the Undying. That is, oh man, that is, yeah, no, it's not good for Undying. Undying's a low armor hero. He doesn't like getting minus 15 armor from Corrosive Haze at level 12. And from there, they're looking to collapse. They find Z-Freak. Unfortunately, he actually does get hexed, so he has to kite out a little bit. And you don't really want to jump on heroes like Drow. Like, a lot of people would have jumped in there, but there's a dilemma with that, right? Number one, Drow is very high armor. To be fair, if you jump on her, she loses some of the armor because of her ulti disabling. But more importantly, he would be surrounded once again. And I know I said this earlier, but I'm just trying to stress it. In these early game team fights, that's kind of the key. Right? Don't just, you want to find people isolated. Because if you do, SLARDAR's the best hero in the game. You know, he just perma-bashes them with Mask of Madness. But if you don't, you're actually very squishy. You only have 10 armor and you're losing, okay, not 10 armor, but no, it is actually about 10, 11 armor, and you're losing 8 of it to Mask of Madness. Your hero is extremely squishy if you don't find isolated targets. So the first thing you can do in fights is often just walk up and amp someone. Tossing out amps is good. It's like tossing out track, but even better. Right? It's sort of a better track in a lot of ways. So, you know, throws up the amp, gets the amp onto the Pango, and is considered going in. Unfortunately, doesn't look like they have much of an angle, so they don't find anything. He's going to go back to just farming Ancients real quick, get his efficiency, get to his BKB. BKB is, of course, the main timing on this hero, right? Absolutely the main timing on this hero. You hit so hard, you just need magic immunity. So funny enough, he actually gets his shard from the second Rosh in minute 23, a really early second Rosh. But the big thing to keep in mind here is that he was actually going to buy it. So if you don't know what SLARDAR shard does, it applies your ulti for 5 seconds to anyone that you Slitherine crush, which is pretty good, right? It's actually really good. And it also makes the radius bigger, so it's easier to hit more targets. The big thing though is that when you SLARDAR stun someone, usually you have to take a second to Corrosive Haze them before auto-attacking them. That can cost you 1 to 2 auto-attacks. With how much attack speed he has, it's probably 2 auto-attacks. And for SLARDAR, you only need 4, 5, 6 auto-attacks to kill someone, so that's a huge percentage of your damage spending it, you know, amping someone. So you have to keep that in mind as he amps himself on the Lotus. That doesn't feel too good because his armor is really bad as he looks for a stun on the Lion. Can't commit too hard, has to play the outside. If you waste your blink, you need to be a little bit careful. You can see what Crystallis understands, and a lot of people will be like, oh my god, he's so passive, SLARDAR's AFK, like stuff like this, you know? But the reality is you just can't blink in a Lion Drow, right? He understands that this Drow hero is a pretty hard SLARDAR counter, in my opinion. You might be like, what? SLARDAR gets on top of Drow. It's like, Yeah, but she has Hurricane Pike and a Pango, you know, and like a Lion. So like he'd have to pre-BKB the jump, which would burn his BKB. And then if she gets Pike off, well, they're not going to kill her. And so, you know what I mean? Like it's very not that straightforward. It's really not that straightforward. He can't just jump in. And if he jumps in and doesn't get the kill with his initial BKB, his power later into the fight will be really weak. But instead, if they try to kite it out with the Morphling initiating, who's way more survivable, that's way better. So unfortunately, they're running into a Giga Tombstone here, which he actually decides that he has to ignore. But you can see what happens, right? When you just try to charge into the Drow, your BKB will get hard forced. And it's kind of unfortunate. But yeah, this was just such a good Tombstone that he felt pressured. But look at that movement speed. When he clicks the BKB and gets the bonus river movement speed on the amp, I think that's what happens, right? Oh, no, he already just has the movement speed because it was applied from Gunner, but gets it again off the apply onto Husky on the Undying and just zooms at 550 movement speed, killing off the Undying. After that, you can jungle a bunch, right? Just remember you jungle so fast with Mask of Madness. Obviously, you want to connect to every fight. You're a pretty active carry or offlaner, but you do want to farm in between, right? You certainly want to farm in between as he finds the Lion. And this is why the Shard theoretically is really good. Because here, if he was to go on the Lion, you wouldn't be able to kill him if he didn't have Shard. Now, unfortunately, he gets hit by the most unlucky disarm of his life because Pango Shield Crash disarms him. Basically, New Lucky Shot makes it where any instance of Pango's abilities can disarm, including Shield Crash and Rolling Thunder. So somehow, in some BS way, he gets disarmed here by a lucky Shield Crash, which keeps the Lion alive. That was really unfortunate, as it also burns his mana pool. So kind of worst case scenario there. Otherwise, he would have just killed off the Lion because of the fact that he has Shard. This was a really sick play from Crystallis here. This is just some heads up Dota that I'd like to show you guys. I don't know, just a beautiful play. He understands that the Pango is going to roll TP, and when he sees that coming, he actually goes for the BKB into the bash. Just whew, really beautiful gameplay as he takes out Gunner on the Pango. And now, honestly, a big thing to keep in mind is in pubs, often it's very easy to actually get to the backline if you just have a little bit of discipline and an idea of what you want to do. So if you're playing your ranked games, if you just have the idea before the fight that, hey, I want to jump the backline, realistically, if you just like kind of let one of your teammates get gone on, as long as they're not too important, obviously, then you'll probably be able to find the backline and instantly kill them. Because at this really high level, people would protect their supports really well. Like very consistently, it's hard to kill the supports because they're just watching. But you can see if they weren't watching, this would have been a solo kill onto the Lion. And that's without Mask of Madness. He didn't pop Mask of Madness here because he was afraid of lowering his armor too much. But literally he gets howled, mech, soul ripped on to save the Lion. And otherwise he would have just gotten a free kill. And if you can start fights with just like insta-killing an AA, a Rubik, a Shaman, a Lion, you know, you're winning the fight for your team. You're winning the game for your team. And you know, that's what you want to look for. Just that insta-kill on the squishy low armor hero. Whoever it is, that is SLARDAR's best target. As he was looking for the Lion there. Now here, maybe he jumps to Drow. He doesn't have BKB for 20, so he has to be careful. Once again, your hero is very BKB reliant. It's kind of the dilemma of SLARDAR, definitely at the pro level, I'd say often, which is it gets kited. It can get kited very, very hard. Like very, very hard. But okay, he's got the cheese. He also got Ags from Roche. If you don't know what the Ags is, every time you stun, or actually now, I think it's not even every time you stun. I think even when you use your ulti, basically you get status resist, armor, and HP regen. Especially when you stun. I know it's when you stun. Maybe you get it when you amp as well because it creates the river. That'd be pretty cool if that's the case. I think it is. And he actually opts for a Linken's here, which I really like because he's not having damage problems on his team. They have a Morphling SLARDAR. Even an Enchantress with Beastmaster is just absurdly high DPS. You know what I mean? Like, the Ench is going to do damage if you just amp some people. She'll chunk them. So he doesn't need to be this giga DPS. He doesn't need to buy a Deso or a Daedalus or Silver Edge. You know, Silver Edge would probably be the most common item if he was going pure DPS. Instead, he just goes for some utility and finds the Drow, and they take her out. He did actually actively use his ulti amp there, specifically for the reason that he wanted to make sure it's stuck on the Drow. But to be fair, I think she has Manta, so it wouldn't actually do too much. Yeah, maybe he used it after she Manta to dispel the W. And now they go on the backline, and this should be a free jump. And this is what I mean. If you see that everyone kind of... I haven't even watched this clip yet, but I'm almost 100% sure he's either going to... He'll probably jump the Lion. I think after Undying uses Tombstone, he's not that high value of a kill. To be fair, he hasn't Flesh Golem, so maybe it's okay. But when you know they've committed the majority of their spells, like, if you see them kill Beastmaster, Lion probably stun hexed, right? There you go. Undying probably used his shit. You know what I mean? Everyone probably used the majority of their spells, so it's a good time to jump in, right? So it's definitely a good time to jump in. And so, yeah, I haven't even watched this, but I'm almost sure he's gonna jump in. As there we go, onto the line. Oh, wow, the shard, look at that radius increase. He stunned here and that hit the Undying. I don't think that definitely would not have hit the Undying otherwise, but instantly kills 2 supports, and there you go. That's why in pubs this hero can thrive, because people will clump up and they'll commit all of their spells way too hard on one hero, and then a BKB SLARDAR is gonna go to work. And that's exactly what we saw there, just a bit of an overcommitment from Nouns. I mean, to be fair, they actually kill off, you know, the offlane Beastmaster, which is definitely more valuable than the support, so it was a pretty good play, but still, good cleanup from Crystallis, and that's what you want to look for. That's what I was explaining earlier. And at this point, it's pretty GG. He's got a ton of armor from the Axe and the AC. Complete unkillable beast because of this 3rd Roshan as well. So when he stuns, you can see usually you would lose most of your armor. I don't even think it's updating here, because he should actually be getting 15 bonus armor from being in the puddle. But, you know, Dota's, you know, in beta. But yeah, they win the fight. They win the game. 11, 1, and 8. Just so much discipline on the jumps. And I want everyone who's watching this video to understand that you don't just instantly jump in and explode people every team fight, especially when you don't have BKB, and especially when you don't have a good target. You can't just jump the first person you see. And that's what most people do, right? Obviously, this initiation makes a lot more sense. His BKB is up, it's a 2-man stun. There's probably gonna be follow-up from his teammates. And most importantly, he even has Lincolns now, so if Lion does respawn, he just won't instantly get hexed or abyssal or whatever as they roar up the Pango. And yeah, that's gonna be all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'm very excited for TI. I'm gonna make a bunch of just TI general videos. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.